Steve Beauchamp, and thank you again for joining me for the next video on my channel. So today I want to talk about how you can use mind mapping to really optimize your weekly routine. At times our brains can really be all over the place and trying to sort out where our thoughts are and where they're going without getting them out on paper or some kind of digital paper, if you will, because I think a lot of people use digital means for recording their notes. Keeping it all up in your head actually makes it worse for you to truly try to sort out. So getting it out onto some kind of tool, some kind of media, if you will, that will allow you to really sort through it and see it for what it really is I think one of the first steps you should really take in really trying to figure out how to sort through your thoughts and your emotions around this particular thing. So, what we really need to focus on is what really is the problem, right? So first, what is your problem? Really try to define it, understand it. The second thing you need to do is figure out what does the path forward look like as it relates to this particular problem. And then once you've figured out what the path is, then you say, okay, well, what are the steps I need to take in order to walk down that path to get the result that I'm really hoping to get? Okay, so let's unpack, the first piece of this is really talking about, what problem are you trying to solve? I think a lot of us will, like I was saying before, if you don't get it out on paper, you can swirl around for a long time, really trying to sort out what your problem is. And so it's very vital for you, if you really want to be able to sort out what your routine looks like, what things you should be doing in order to, get where you want to go. The first thing is really define the problem, right? So when it comes to your routine, you need to think about what are the results that you're hoping to achieve. Okay. So that would be, in this particular sense, the problem that you're trying to solve. Your problem you're trying to solve for is this particular result, right? And so once you truly understand what that result is, what the problem is that you're trying to solve, then you can start actually taking action to be able to address it. And I find mind mapping a really useful tool in being able to do that. There's several different types of software out there that you can use if you prefer, using software. You can do this as simply on a piece of paper with a pencil. Also, you don't need high-tech solutions to this particular, brainstorming tool. And just having a piece of paper with a pencil, draw a circle right in the center. And most of the software will do this for you as well. And that really kind of hits the center of what you're really trying to go after. And so that's where you start, right? So you really define your problem well and spend some time doing that. Don't rush through trying to solve your problem. I think it was Einstein that said if he had 1 hour to solve a problem, he would spend 55 minutes truly trying to understand it and 5 minutes executing the solution to the problem. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in there, because if you really take some time to truly understand your problem before you act, you're less likely to create more problems from your reaction, right? And so it becomes more of a proactive response to achieving the results you want, rather than a reaction to something that's happening. So, I like to, spend time planning, but I don't get analysis paralysis around it. Don't spend a ton of time planning, but spend enough time really understanding what you're trying to do. And, the motivation behind it can be very helpful as well. If this topic is resonating with you, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be posting videos every week on slightly different topics that support the 5 main pillars that I believe are foundational for you to be able to really achieve and engineer the success you want for your business and for your life. And those 5 pillars are using smaller time blocks, your time, removing unwanted daily activities, enforcing a routine for yourself, and practicing discipline. So each week, one of these videos is going to really enforce the idea behind those pillars. Okay, so now that you've really defined your problem and you need to start thinking about what's next, the next step is to really look at, okay, where does this path need to lead me to, right? So if you understand what the problem is you're trying to solve, that should point you towards the result that you want, and that result should be the end or the intermediate step along the way to something else, right? And so that becomes your focal point, and then you work backwards from there and say, okay, what are the things that I need to do in order to achieve this result that I'm looking for? That might mean you having to look for some outside help to be able to achieve a particular task. That might mean you spending a few dollars to be able to get a thing that you need in order to achieve this new result. Um, you really need to start unpacking all of the different things that you need to do in order to get to that end result. But the thing is, this isn't just creating a to-do list, right? So if you think about how the Pareto principle works, 80% of all the results that you get come from 20% of the actions that you take. So if the results that you have been getting historically are not the results that you want, you need to think about those 20%, those critical activities that you're doing, because if you're not getting the results you want, you need to start shifting around some of the things that you're doing in order to get the results you want. And so this is where it becomes really critical to identify what are the critical activities that I need to be doing that will allow me to get the result that I truly want. In this particular stage of the work, it's also important to not discriminate on the ideas that you're coming up with. Just write down the ideas, get them out in front of you, start thinking about all the different avenues, and then you can start weeding out the critical activities afterward. So those critical activities are important, but it's also important to think of, as many of the things that need to happen, because maybe it's not a critical activity that you need to do, but it's something that you could have somebody else on your team do, or someone you could outsource some activities to. So don't limit your thinking in this particular stage of the exercise. Consider dropping a like or comment or sharing this video if this is resonating with you. And I appreciate you being able to share this inside your network. That's how I'm able to reach more people. So thank you for doing that. And the last piece of this puzzle is the taking action, knowing when to take action on what, in terms of what do I need to do now in order to move me closer to that result. Doesn't mean you need to do everything right now, right? Because some activities are dependent on others. And so it's important to understand what that path looks like, because you need to make sure you're doing the right things in the right order in order to get you the result that you want to get. And again, sometimes that means that you don't have to do everything yourself. That just means there's a certain order to the events and tasks that are lined up in order to achieve this particular result. And so by using that mind map, okay, let's go back to the diagram. So in the center, you would have your problem that you're trying to solve for. The next ring out, or depending on which way you do it, you can either do it from a start on one side of a paper and go the other way, or you can just do it in the center and then go outward. It's up to you depending on which way you'd like to do it. But basically, the first level is the problem. The second level are all of the particular tasks and ideas and things that you identified in step 2 that need to get you closer to being able to solve this particular problem. The next level out from that is the dependency order, right? So you're thinking about, okay, this thing I need to do first, this thing needs to go second, these other two things, they could probably happen at the same time. And that's where you can look for opportunities to be able to duplicate your efforts by having a team member perform a particular task, or outsourcing, like I had already mentioned. So really driving down and figuring out what order do all these things need to happen in, and then you pick out the top 2-3 things, and you go and do those first. Go and take care of those, because as I said, 80% of your results are coming from 20% of the activities that you're actually doing in your business. And so really dial in, figure out what the 20% is, and then I guarantee you're going to start seeing the 80% those results are going to start shifting if you really focus on the activities that you're doing. Okay, so using mind maps has been a really helpful tool for me and for my career, and I also use it in my business right now. And I've been using a particular piece of software called MindMeister. There's several other options out there. By no means is any one. I'm not advocating for any, and nor do I get any kickbacks from suggesting any of them. So, find a tool that's going to work for you, and just to allow it to get those creative juices flowing, those brainstorming ideas to flow, and you'll find that things will start shifting pretty quickly. So thanks for joining me for today. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.